Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to News Dose. And I think for a lot of us, we got some pretty good news as we woke up this morning, as those rumors about a new Nintendo Direct incoming were true after all. We did indeed get a confirmation for the next big Nintendo Direct, and we're gonna go over all of the latest details and what we could possibly expect to be there later on in the video. Now, we'll also be talking about Xbox today, as there's a possibility that they could bring back a major game that they once canceled. So we're going to talk about that one as well. To get things started off today, though, we're going to be talking about Rockstar and some of the success that they've had with their big games. Of course, we know that franchises like Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption are massive, but they did just give us some more specifics, and just wow, what they are doing is absolutely insane. Because check this out. During a Take-Two earning call, they revealed that Grand Theft Auto 5 has now sold over 160 million units worldwide. I mean, that is almost hard to believe that a single game can sell 160 million units. It is just absolutely crazy. And that's the thing, because Grand Theft Auto 5 is not going to slow down in 2022. It will continue to sell. They did reveal that last quarter that Grand Theft Auto 5 had sold 5 million units, which is extremely impressive considering this is a game that is 9 years old by this point, and it's selling better than new releases. And that is about to change, because it will be releasing on its third generation of platforms here soon. It will be available in the Xbox Series and the PlayStation 5 starting March 15th, so we're going to once again see those sales pick up. And yeah, it doesn't look like Grand Theft Auto 5 is going to slow down anytime soon. They did also talk a little bit about Grand Theft Auto, the trilogy that released late last year, and said that it had exceeded their expectations. And the estimate right now is that this trilogy has already sold nearly 10 million units. Now, this wasn't even viewed as a good release, as it had a lot of problems, especially on the Nintendo Switch, so to see it's already sold nearly 10 million units, that's just kind of where the Grand Theft Auto franchise is. This is an absolute massive franchise, and as we head into Grand Theft Auto 6, that very well might possibly end up being the biggest launch for any game in the history of gaming. That's kind of the direction that we're heading in right now. Of course, though, Rockstar does have another huge franchise, being Red Dead Redemption, and they did reveal that Red Dead Redemption 2 has now reached nearly 43 million units. I mean, 43 million is massive as well. When it follows the news that Grand Theft Auto 5 sold 160 million, it doesn't sound as impressive, but when you compare Red Dead Redemption 2's numbers to basically any other game in the industry, it is extremely impressive. Truthfully, the success that Rockstar has had with Red Dead Redemption and Grand Theft Auto is nothing short of impressive, and that's probably an understatement. The Grand Theft Auto franchise has now sold more than 370 million units worldwide, while the Red Dead Redemption franchise has sold more than 65 million units. Okay, so next up here, we do have a bit of a strange story regarding Battlefield 2042. So this game is not exactly in a good state right now. When this game first released, fans weren't happy about Battlefield 2042, as it had several bugs and issues, it lacked in content, and for Battlefield fans, this was a major disappointment. This is something that we have talked about before, and it's become more and more clear that Battlefield 2042 should have been delayed. It should have never launched in the state that it launched in. If you actually go back to last year and kind of take a look at what happened leading to the launch of Battlefield 2042, the writing was kind of on the wall. They took Criterion Games off of Need for Speed just to help out with Battlefield 2042 so they could make sure it released during the holiday months. Then they also released a very buggy beta that fans were not happy about, and they simply just said that it was an old build and that it would be fixed up by the time it launched. That did not turn out to be true. Again, you just kind of look at things, and it's clear that all they really cared about was getting this game out by the holiday. And well, big surprise, that did turn out to be a major mistake. Much of the fan base has since abandoned Battlefield 2042, but now things have gotten so bad to the point that there is a new petition that is demanding a refund for all platforms. Their goal is to reach 50,000 signatures, in which then supposedly a class action lawsuit would then be filed. Now we'll kind of see what happens with all of that, but it does look like that this petition will indeed reach 50,000 signatures. As of this recording, and it is still rapidly growing. Currently, it does have 32,000 signatures. So there is a very good chance that they will actually reach 50,000. And regardless of what happens with a class action lawsuit, this just kind of shows you the mistake that EA made by pushing Battlefield 2042 out. They should have just delayed this game, and I think that this is another prime example of what happens when you rush a game to the market. We saw that happen with Cyberpunk 2077, and now the same thing is happening with Battlefield 2042. Now, on the reverse side of things, you take a look at something like Halo Infinite. They delayed that game for an entire year, and well, guess what? It turned out to be a great game. And not only does that ensure that this current game will have a lot of success, but it also builds trust for future games. Next time 343 Industries puts out a game, there's trust that they can make yet another good game because Halo Infinite turned out to be a good game. Meanwhile, you have Battlefield 2042, and EA damaged DICE's reputation, and they have nobody to blame but themselves. Moving on though, we have some really interesting news when it comes to Xbox. To this day, one of the most talked about canceled games ever would be Scalebound. This is a game that unfortunately got canceled last generation for the Xbox One, and it crushed the game community, especially over on Xbox. And to this day, I've heard a lot of fans hope and dream that that game would eventually return. And well, guess what? There might actually be a possibility that that could happen after all. Yeah, this is coming directly from the Platinum Games studio president at Sushi Inaba, in which said that Hideki Kamiya has been talking about wanting to work on Scalebound again for a while, and said that Kamiya wants to appeal to Phil Spencer directly, saying, "Let's do it, Phil." He then goes on to say, often in an interview, you might hear a developer politely saying, "Yes, if we had the opportunity, we'd love to work on that again, but we don't mean it that way. Both Kamiya and I are serious. We really would love to work on Scalebound again. I'd like to discuss it with Microsoft properly." So from the sounds of it, they actually have intentions, like real intentions, to talk with Phil Spencer and Microsoft to see if they can have another opportunity to try this once again. Now the thing is that Phil Spencer does typically go to Japan each year in the first half of the year to talk with different Japanese developers. So here in the coming months, Platinum Games might actually have their chance to talk with Phil Spencer directly about their idea to revive Scalebound once again. Whether Phil Spencer and Xbox would actually approve a Scalebound revival though, that's a different question. This was a very public cancellation for Xbox and one of the lowest points in Xbox history, so there's a possibility that they might not want to try revival for Scalebound. However, at the same time, I do think that there's reasons that they might want to revisit Scalebound. For one, like I said before, to this day, there are still a lot of fans that continues to ask for a Scalebound revival. So you do know that there's fans that's already interested in this game. And I think with all of the different reactions that we've seen from the community when it comes to this game throughout all of the years, that will kind of add to the mystique and hype for Scalebound if they do eventually decide to come back. It would be a crazy story, and I think the internet would kind of explode just because this game is coming back. The other part about this, though, is that Xbox needs more Japanese games, and when they're offered a Japanese exclusive from a talented studio, it might be worth trying once again. Scalebound always had a lot of potential. It just seems like the execution wasn't quite there. Now, there's a lot of rumors as to why, and Platinum Games themselves have apologized publicly several times about this specific topic, but one way or the other, they just seemingly could not execute on their vision with this game. After all of these years, though, maybe they could finally make it happen. One thing that was very evident with the Scalebound previews before was its technical issues, and with the Xbox Series, they're likely not going to have any kind of technical issues. They have much more powerful hardware this time, and they also have Xbox Game Pass this time around. You got to remember that Xbox has changed drastically since that cancellation with Scalebound, and this could be a game that fits in perfectly. Xbox has been doing a good job getting more Japanese games to come over to Xbox Game Pass, but here they can get their own premier exclusive Japanese title for Xbox Game Pass, and that could be a whole new incentive for a different group of gamers to try out Xbox Game Pass. Scalebound does add a little bit more variety that could bring in a whole new group of gamers. But for all of those fans out there that had remained hopeful for a Scalebound return for all of those years, well, now there is actually a possibility. Not a guarantee, but at the very least, a possibility. Let me know, though, in the comments below, would you like to see Scalebound revived for the Xbox Series? Let's go ahead and talk about Nintendo, though, as the rumors turned out to be true after all. A Nintendo Direct indeed will be taking place in February. This is something that we talked about yesterday, as yet another game did leak out online, and it did seem like everything was pointing in the direction of a new Nintendo Direct taking place sometime here soon. Even with Kirby and the Forgotten Land, as I mentioned, that really is the last big game that we actually have a release date for the Nintendo Switch this year, so surely they would have a new Nintendo Direct sometime here soon, and well, they confirmed that real quick. Over on Twitter, they did post this. Tune in February 9th at 2 p.m. Pacific time for a Nintendo Direct live stream featuring roughly 40 minutes of information, mainly focused on Nintendo Switch games launching in the first half of 2022. So there you have it, the next big Nintendo Direct will be taking place tomorrow. What are they actually going to show, though? That's the question that's going to be on everybody's mind for the next 24 hours, so I thought we'd just go ahead and make some predictions today. I do think that we have plenty of information that we already have, or at the very least have heard about, that we can kind of make some good educated guesses as to what could possibly be here. Now, there's a lot of rumors swirling around right now, which we'll kind of get to here in just a second, but there are 4 games specifically that I would expect to be here at this Nintendo Direct, 3 of which are Nintendo games that they have already announced but have not given an official release date. That'd be Splatoon 3, Advance Wars Reboot Camp, and then Mario + Rabbids Sparks of Hope. All 3 of these games have a mysterious 2022 release date, but nothing official as of yet. I would expect Nintendo to give an official release date for these 3 games. As I stated before, that's one of the reasons that they need to have a Nintendo Direct. After Kirby and the Forgotten Land releases, there's a bit of a mystery throughout the rest of 2022, and they can quickly fix that by announcing the release date for these 3 games. Now, with that in mind, Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 and Bayonetta 3 also needs release dates. I don't know if they will announce release dates for all 5 of these games here tomorrow at this Nintendo Direct. Nintendo did say in their statement that they're primarily focusing on the first half of 2022, and there is a very good chance that they will have another Nintendo Direct sometime in the summer months for E3, so they could hold off on giving an official release date for something like Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 until that next big Nintendo Direct, as that is expected to release this holiday or maybe even early in 2023. I, however, would love to see Breath of the Wild 2 tomorrow, even if it's just to get its official name. Another game, though, that I do think that has a high chance of being here would be the game that we just talked about yesterday, and that would be the Batman Arkham Collection. This did leak out online from a French retailer by the name of WTT, which in the past, they did leak out The Witcher 3 for the Nintendo Switch before its official announcement. And with the timing of this leak, it does point to the possibility of this being announced sometime here soon at a place like possibly Nintendo Direct. So there is a chance that that leak will be confirmed tomorrow. Now, there's also a lot of rumors circulating when it comes to the Nintendo Switch. Nintendo supposedly has several games in development, some of which is supposed to be releasing sometime this year, and if those rumors turns out to be true, there's a possibility that maybe some of these, or at least one of them, could be announced tomorrow. So let's just kind of go down the list of some of the rumors that we've been hearing. Xenoblade 3 is supposedly in development, though I'm hearing right now that it is looking like a 2023 release. So the chances of that one being announced here doesn't seem too likely. A more likely candidate, though, would be a Metroid Prime remake. This one has been circulating for quite a while, and everything seems to be pointing at this game releasing in 2022. So unless they save this until the E3 Nintendo Direct, we could hear about this one as early as tomorrow. We're also hearing a lot about a new Donkey Kong game being developed by the Mario Odyssey team. We haven't really heard much about a release window when it comes to that one, though, so that one remains to be seen. Another game that we continue to hear a lot about is Fire Emblem, and not just a new entry, but also a remake as well. It seems like there is a lot of belief that a new Fire Emblem will release sometime in 2022, so there is a very good chance that we could hear about a new Fire Emblem game, whether it be a remake or a new entry, tomorrow at Nintendo Direct. A new Detective Pikachu has also popped up quite a bit, though I feel like that would more than likely be announced as something like a Pokemon event instead. Another rumor, though, that has gained a lot of traction would be some more Zelda remasters. Last year, there was a lot of talk about a Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HD remaster for the Nintendo Switch, but that never really ended up happening. However, there are still a lot of people out there that believes that these games are indeed coming to the Nintendo Switch. Of course, though, all of these games are just quite simply rumors for the time being, though, but maybe we'll get a confirmation for at least one of these games tomorrow at the Nintendo Direct, again at 2 p.m. Pacific time on February 9th. Let's go and move on over to the poll of the day, though, and this does actually circle back to that Nintendo Direct once again. This morning, I did ask you all, do you think we'll get a Nintendo Direct in February as rumored? And well, that post didn't exactly age too well, because about the same time they did reveal a new Nintendo Direct. So I posted yet another poll asking you all, what rumored Nintendo Switch game do you hope to see the most at Nintendo Direct? And this one was actually a really close one, with Mario Kart 9 coming out on top with 30% of the votes. 29% of you all voted for Metroid Prime Remaster, while 19% of you voted for a new Donkey Kong, 13% Xenoblade 3. Unfortunately, I did have a typo there, but then at 10% we have Fire Emblem. So most of you all do want a new Mario Kart to be announced here, which actually I didn't talk about earlier, but yes, this is yet another rumored Nintendo Switch game. And I very much do believe a new Mario Kart is in development. Whether or not it actually gets announced this year, I'm not completely sure about that situation. The thing about Mario Kart is, because Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is selling so insanely well, it's topped 40 million units worldwide, and it doesn't look like it's going to slow down anytime soon. So is there a reason for them to release a new Mario Kart in 2022? That's where I'm a little skeptical. Yes, I would love to see it be announced, but will it? That's a different question. As for second place, though, a lot of you all do want a Metroid Prime remake, and that is kind of what I'm hoping to see tomorrow. I feel like that there is a good chance, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I do think that there is a good chance that this one could show up tomorrow. If not, maybe at the E3 Nintendo Direct, but it does seem like the rumors are really strong that a new Metroid Prime remake will be making its debut sometime in 2022, so I'm hoping we get the official announcement sometime here soon. Either way, though, let's look forward to tomorrow's Nintendo Direct. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to hit the notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.